Seahawks Today is quickly approaching 53,000 subscribers on the channel. We are less than 250 away from reaching that next milestone. Subscribe now for free for the latest happenings in your Seattle Seahawks all offseason long with daily news and rumors, live shows twice a week, Madden Sims for every game, interactive Q&A mailbags, breaking news, and more. It's all in one place, and the best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV to subscribe now for free. Join the family. You'll be glad you did, and we'll get started with today's show. It is time for Blockbuster Trade Rumors here on today's edition of Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. Man, I miss the days of Blockbuster. That takes me back to yesteryear quite a bit. On this program, we are going to look at 5 players across the National Football League that are on the trade block, if you will, and that the Seahawks potentially could make a trade for. We'll tell you about them, talk about their trade value, how they would fit into this Seattle Seahawks team coming up right now. Let's start with Budda Baker of the Arizona Cardinals. Budda Baker. I love Budda Baker a lot. Even though he's a division foe, we've seen a lot of him over the years just tearing it up with the Arizona Cardinals on some pretty bad teams. He's been one of the few highlights, if you will, from the Arizona Cardinals as of late. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're going to come after my throat right away and say, intra-division trades, they're rare, they never happen. They actually happen more than you think, folks. And I wouldn't completely rule this one out for a couple of reasons. One, the Seahawks are looking for potential help at the safety spot. You have Julian Love and Rayshon Jenkins there, but don't have a ton of options beyond that. We know the Seahawks want to play with 3 safeties more than not in this defense. And then, 2, the other factor is that Budda Baker, the Cardinals have been talking about trading him for a year and a half now. His trade value's gone down considerably from what it was even just a few months ago. Here's more on Budda Baker, a former second-round pick out of Washington, played in Seattle with the Huskies, so it would be a homecoming of sorts for Baker. A 6-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro in 2017 and 2020. He'll have a case for the Pro Football Hall of Fame someday. And he also led the league in solo tackles back in 2019. The statistics from Budda Baker, last year a bit of a down year as he had 87 tackles with 5 tackles for loss in 12 games played. The year prior to that, though, had 111 tackles with 1 tackle for loss, 7 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. And although the initial trade conversations with Baker when they started a year and a half ago, the Cardinals were looking for a first-round pick and a day 3 pick, that has gone down considerably. Nobody gave them that. That's why he's still there in Arizona. I think you're looking at giving up about a second-round pick potentially for Budda Baker, and more than likely he's going to be better than most players you're going to find in the second round. Should the Seahawks trade for Budda? What do you guys think? Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. We're not stopping there at the Arizona Cardinals players as we turn our attention now to Zaven Collins at the outside linebacker position. I like Collins a lot. I thought he was a terrific player coming out of the University of Tulsa. And this is a guy that Mike Macdonald could potentially take to another level. I think that Zaven Collins has some untapped potential here, that he's been kind of held back from a coaching staff that really doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to defensive talent. And Zaven Collins has another step to go. Last season had career highs in sacks and tackles for loss. The Cardinals ended up declining his 5th-year option, so that will make him a free agent next year. So that means that his second contract is not likely to cost that much, considerably speaking, due to the just kind of average production, if you will, that we've seen to start his career. So you could trade for him, sign him, and then if he has a breakout season, potentially save a lot of money down the road by taking care of this now. Collins, coming off a season where he had 3.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 6 tackles for loss, 41 tackles. Add him into the mix, the rotation with Boye Mafe and Uchenna Nwosu. Watch out. It is going to be hell for these quarterbacks if they had to deal with that gang. The trade value on Baker, I think you're looking at about 3rd and 5th round picks is what you'd have to give up for Baker at this point, which I don't think is asking a ton for a guy that's a former first-round pick. I think that's reasonable for Seattle to just give up a third and a fifth at this point. You can live with that if you're the Seattle Seahawks here of just going that route with a third and a fifth at this point. That's something that I think you would be okay with and move forward from there and be in good shape and have your outside linebacker position locked up for many years to come. Because think about this. We don't really know about Uchenna Nwosu, how long he's going to hold up with the injury that he's coming off of where he missed most of last year. If you had to pick one Cardinal player to trade for, who would it be? Would you go with Budda Baker or would you go with Zaven Collins? Type B for Budda Baker, type Z for Zaven Collins. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Another linebacker that we'll talk about, specifically on the inside, that is Nicholas Murrow, who just joined the Buffalo Bills this offseason. But don't let that fool you, folks, because here's a situation that could unfold with Buffalo. If the Buffalo Bills end up healthy at the linebacker position, if they get their guys back here during training camp, and the young players that they have at that position are ready to contribute, then all of a sudden Nicholas Murrow, who they just brought in this offseason, becomes expendable, and you can move on from him and try to get something out of him. Undrafted in 2017 out of Greenville, ended up signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, joined the Bills this offseason after previously playing for the Eagles and the Bears. And you go back to what he did in 2023, had a career high in sacks with a total of 3. So he's coming off some of the best football that he's had in his career with this past season there in Philly. Here's the numbers we're talking about with Nicholas Murrow. Solid in pass coverage with 5 pass breakups, 12 tackles for loss, and 95 tackles. The year prior, 116 tackles with 11 tackles for loss and 2 pass breakups there. And Murrow, you're looking at his trade value, about a 6th-round pick for a position that is a big need for Seattle with Jerome Baker and Terrell Dodson coming off injuries and their status uncertain heading into training camp. You would certainly feel a lot better about that position with a potential trade here. Who's a player the Seahawks should trade for? We've gone over a few. We got a couple more to go. Way in the comments section, let us know what you think of a player that comes to mind you'd like to see with the Seahawks in 2024. Next up, we find Payton Turner, the defensive end from the New Orleans Saints. And Payton Turner is somebody that has not even come close to reaching his peak just yet, right? He is somebody that I think has a lot of talent, but has not put it all together at this point in time. And you look at the way the Saints have gone with the changes they've made to their defense here, it doesn't seem like he's going to get that opportunity. Macdonald, we've talked about this before, has a really good track record when it comes to pass rushers, and this could be a player that Macdonald gets for cheap and really gets into that untapped potential. A former first-round pick out of Houston back in 2021. You can see he's still very young. 2022, he had career highs in tackles with 16 and 5 tackles for loss, 15 career games played at this point. And with him being so young, his value right now, you're looking at about a 5th-round pick for Payton Turner there, potentially, if he were to go to the Seattle Seahawks. His numbers, let's show you those right now here. You can see he was barely used the last couple of years. Just 1 tackle last year in 2 games played, 16 in 8 games played in 2022, and 12 tackles in 2021 in 5 games played there. So that's what we're estimating, about a 5th-round pick for Payton Turner. It's not much of a risk at all for a guy that's still got first-round potential as far as that goes. Last on our list is Ben Cleveland, the offensive guard from the Baltimore Ravens. He is in a heated competition for the starting right guard spot with Baltimore, and it remains to be seen if he'll win the job or not. And although Ben Cleveland has had opportunities in the past to win one of the starting offensive guard spots, he's never quite pulled through. But when the Baltimore Ravens have called upon him, when they've needed him to step up, when they've had injuries, Ben Cleveland showed that he's more than capable of getting the job done, and he can be a solid depth piece. Look, you have an offensive guard spot with Laken Tomlinson, who you brought over from the Jets. We'll see what he brings to the table. That remains to be seen. And then you got Anthony Bradford and Christian Haynes also part of the equation. Both those guys are unproven. Ben Cleveland, you get in there, and all of a sudden you have a few different options potentially, especially if injuries end up happening with this offensive line. Cleveland, a third-round pick in 2021 out of Georgia. He is a big hog molly, folks. He stands at 6'6", 1/4. That makes him the second tallest offensive guard in the entire NFL. He's played in 37 career games with 7 starts throughout his career. And here's what we mean as far as being dependable of what he's done in his time in the National Football League so far. Last year, with 162 snaps, had a very good pass block rate of an 80.7. We know the Seahawks are going to be more of a passing team this year. Did not give up a single sack. Had a run block rate of 64.6 and an overall grade of 68.2. The trade value that we're looking at is about a 6th-round pick for Ben Cleveland at this point in time, still with another year on his contract as well. So a pretty decent value there for a guy that is a starting caliber guard that could come in right away and compete on this Seattle Seahawks offensive line. There you have it. That is our blockbuster trade rumors edition of Seattle Seahawks today. Continuing coverage here on the channel. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Lock us in. Never miss a moment. If any of these guys end up getting traded to your Seattle Seahawks, we're going to make a video as quick as we can here on the channel and break it all down for you. Subscribe now for free. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.